Well, hello Internet, and welcome to part 1 of my tutorial on how to create a WordPress theme. There is a prerequisite to this actual tutorial, and it's called How to Lay Out a Website. In that tutorial, which I have a link above to, we created this opening index or blog page and these individual pages that you see right here. In this tutorial, I'm going to create this finalized piece that you see right here, as well as these individual pages as you see right here. And you can actually see this at socialvoicemarketing.com if you want to play around with a theme and check it out and see how it's going to look whenever this tutorial is completely done. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go and download what's called the blank theme, and underneath of this video you'll find a link to the blank theme. And then after you download the blank theme, you want to copy it and then paste it into your WP-content folder inside of WordPress, which is located in your main WordPress directory. Just go down until you see WP content, which is right here. Go inside of there, go inside of themes, and this is where you're going to put the blank theme. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change the name of this. And I'm going to call it NTT-Cindy2-theme. And now that is already installed and ready for you to use. And if you log into WordPress, wherever you have it installed, whether it's on a local host or on a hosting company somewhere, and if you come down into Appearance and Themes, click on that, you're going to be able to see the theme right here. And the blank theme was created by Chris Coyer, and basically what it is it's a stripped down theme that has almost nothing in it. And you can see exactly what it's going to look like right there. See? Totally stripped. Well, in this tutorial, we're going to turn that guy into this right here. So now that we have the blank theme all installed, we can start coding. Alright, so on the left side of the screen I have all of the content that we created in the How to Lay Out a Website tutorial, all on the left side of the screen. Like I said, you can download it underneath this video. Now in another window, and I'm using Text Wrangler, but you can use any type of text editing tool that you want to use, we're going to open up some files. So we're going to go Open, go into my Themes directory, and I'm going to find the NTT Cindy 2 theme that I just created, and then I'm going to open up a couple of these files. I'm going to open up header.php, I'm going to open up index.php, I'm going to open up functions.php and style.css. So let's open all those up in this text editing that we have right here. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to edit this. So we're going to call this, under theme name, I'm going to call it NTT Cindy 2 theme. Okay, so just do that. And then theme URI, which is the location that the person would go to if they want more information about your theme. I'm going to type in newthinktank.com/create a WordPress theme. Alright, so that's where we're going to have all that. This is a sample theme to teach how to make a WordPress theme. Author, well, I'm going to change this to my name. You can change it to your own, I don't care. And then you're going to want to put in whatever your website is. And I'm just going to leave this as version 1. And actually, this is style.css. What we're going to do is we're actually going to delete everything out of here. But what we're going to do first is we're going to select all the styling we created in the How to Lay Out a Website tutorial. There's all of it. We're going to paste in our own styling. So those are all the changes we're going to make to style.css. For now, we got to go in there and make a couple other changes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the header folder, and I'm going to fix the header file so that we have everything in the right place. Now for the most part, not many things are going to change inside of the header section. We're going to use the left side as a guide, and this is always the way I do it. As far as I know, this is how most people make themes. They always make the website first and then copy and paste everything over. Well, as we scroll down here on the right side of the screen, we can see here that page wrap is being used to surround all the text that's on the screen. Well, we're going to change that to page wrapper because that's what we used over here. And we'll paste that in there. Another thing that I'm going to want to do here, I'm actually going to have to scroll up the screen to get it, is I want to get this specialized font that I downloaded from Google. And I want to copy that, and that allows me to use customized fonts. And then we'll jump over here, and again, this is the header.php file that I'm working with on the right side of the screen for our theme. And normally I put in any of my additional information that I need right under the style part. You don't really need to worry. This right here, what it in essence does is it locates your style sheet. But as you can see, I'm just using the theme as it is. I'm trying to make this as easy to use as possible. So for the most part, you're not going to need to change that many different things here. Well, then we come down here and we see page wrapper, as I have page wrapper here. And then we see div ID is equal to header. Well, on the left side in my original guy that I created. That is identical, so I don't need to change any of that. So I'm going to jump inside of the header section and just start changing some of the code here. Give myself some space. Okay, so if we look on the left side of the screen, we can see here that we are going to be pulling in a logo that's going to be used in the upper left-hand corner. So I want to copy this guy, jump over here into the theme header.php file, paste it right in there. Then we're going to have to make a couple little changes. I'm going to have to tell it where to look for this images folder. Now if we open up this guy right here and locate our new theme that we just created, you can see here is the images folder. And there, I made it a little bit bigger. If you can't see this, you can view this full screen HD. It's an HD video. So here's the images folder, and you can see right here that nothing is showing up. That is because we don't have the original logo and all the things that we used previous. So I'm going to have to get those things. Okay, so here are all the images that I used whenever I created the website in the How to Lay Out a Website tutorial. So I'm just going to copy all those, and then I'm going to jump into the Themes Images folder. I'm going to paste all those guys in there. Okay, so now I got all the images that I'm going to need. But like I said before, we're going to have to tell WordPress exactly what images folder to look in. Well, there's a shortcut way to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to use some PHP code. And don't get nervous, this is real simple. I want to type in blog info, and I want to type in template directory. Close off the PHP section, all the PHP code by putting a question mark and in that closing bracket. And then I'm going to leave images and everything else here on the screen exactly the same. What blog info does is it's going to go to my template or my theme directory that I'm currently using, and it's going to go to the images folder inside of there and then find logo 2, except logo 2 is uppercase letters. And it's going to be able to get that image and throw it onto my new theme. Alright, so let's just keep working through this guy. Now another thing we have over here is a blog slogan. Well, I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to paste it inside of there. Now WordPress is going to make my life real easy because this part inside of here, it's going to automatically pull out of whatever slogan is defined inside of WordPress. However, I have to take this bit of code down here where it says description, and I need to copy it and then paste it inside the paragraph tag. Now what it's going to do is it's going to automatically grab whatever slogan the person defined inside of the WordPress theme that they wanted to use. And in actuality, I can delete all this information because I no longer need it. Leave the div there, but everything else goes. Now I also want to use a little search tool here, like you see here in the upper right hand corner. WordPress also makes our life real easy there. If you want to throw in a search box, well, I'm going to create a div. Then I'm going to give it the ID of search box because that's what I created over here. And then I can just call some PHP code and WordPress is automatically going to insert a search tool inside of there that's just going to work beautifully. We have to call a function called get search form like that, and then close off the PHP block of code, and then we're going to close off the div. And another thing I want to use is the new WordPress 3.0 version of a menu bar. If I want to use WordPress's menu bar, which is going to make the users of my theme very, very happy, I have to just call another function. It's going to be called WP nav menu, and then we're going to call array. And this is pretty much just copy and paste code. This is something you can use over and over again. You don't have to think too much about this. We're going to say theme, location, and I'm going to define it as main-menu. Again, you can just copy and paste this code. Menu, class, like that, and I'm going to call it drop down. And then this is important, container ID. This is going to be the ID for the menu that we're going to be working with. And type in navigation because that's what I always use. And then fallback CB. This is if the menu fails or WordPress can't get the menu to work. What it does is it calls a function. And I'm going to type in fallback CB. It's going to throw up a canned sort of menu system just so that there's something up there if something goes wrong along the way. It's kind of like an error checker. And then close that off. What do we have over here? After the menu system, which I'm actually going to delete this whole thing because WordPress is going to be real nice and create it all for me. As you scroll down here, you see div ID is equal to content wrapper. We're going to use that again. That's going to surround all of the content that's on the screen after the menu. Then we can come inside of here and clean that up. Now your header.php file is done. That's all you needed to do, and you have a good part of your website already all cleaned up and really, really nice. But while we're in here, let's go, because we just defined the menu inside of this guy right here. We're going to go into the functions.php file. We're going to save this header file because we know it's right. Jump into functions.php and then go down here to the bottom, and we're going to come back to register sidebar here later on in the tutorial whenever we create all of the sidebars. So we're going to be using custom WordPress sidebars. They're going to be really nice. Now what we're going to do to make the menu work is we're going to call function exists register nav menus. What this is going to do is check if we're going to be able to use the WordPress defined menus. That's all. Copy and paste code again. And if the answer to that is yes, We're going to call another function called register nav menus. And then we're going to call array, and we're going to go main dash menu, little equal sign, main navigation, and then close off that function. And the main menu part here actually came from right here where we typed in theme location, main menu. And that's all we need to do inside of WordPress to make that guy work for now. So let's just save the functions and then let's jump into index.php because this is going to get a little bit more interesting. Alright, so now we're in index.php on the right side of the screen for the theme that we are going to be creating. And one thing that we're going to need to do is create our sidebar that we're going to be using inside of WordPress. So I'm actually going to come down here to the very bottom of this guy and I'm going to cut that out of there. And then I'm going to jump up here after get header and we're going to create our sidebar. So we just paste that inside of there. And our sidebar is going to be called first sidebar. So we're just going to call it first. We're just going to stick first inside of there. And that's going to grab all of the code that is going to be used to generate this right here. This is what I mean by first sidebar. And that's going to all be contained inside of another block of code that we're going to get into later on in this tutorial. But right now I'm going to show you how to automatically pull in all of this content right here in the middle of the screen, these two columns. And this is the sort of stuff that they think is complicated. What we're going to do is we're going to scroll down until we get to beginning of middle bar 1. And then we're basically going to do a lot of copy and pasting. So we called in our sidebar code, so let's just trust that that left sidebar is already in there. Well, we're going to be working on the middle column. So we're going to come in here and we're going to just copy and paste from the left to the right of the side of the screen. Then what I'm going to have to do is I want all of the information that's on this to automatically pull in articles and display those on this column. And then also automatically pull in all of the video articles and display those there. So I have to make some custom queries inside of WordPress. It's actually very easy to do. Again, this is copy and paste code. So what I need to do, if I want to make a query inside of WordPress, I have to hijack what's called the WP query object. Now I'm going to want to use this later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a temporary WP query variable, and I'm going to store the values that are in the WP query object inside of that. Make sure you type in temp WP query. And then I'm going to take WP query and I'm going to delete everything in this object by calling null on it. Now I'm going to create a new WP query object. And again, this is copy and paste code. I'm just sort of explaining what's going on here. If it all confuses you, just copy and paste it. It'll work. So that creates a new object called WP query, and WordPress is going to know what it is. Then WP query. If I want to query the database or ask the database to return very specific information, I just put a dash in there in that little bracket and I type in query. And then how many posts I want WordPress to return to me, which is going to be 4. So posts per page is going to be equal to 4. But, however, I only want it to return articles in the first situation. So I'm going to put an and sign and type in category name is equal to article. So it's going to return all of the first 4 posts onto that page that are in a category with the name article. And that's all defined inside of WordPress. So if they have it in a category called article, it's going to pull them out. Well, then what I got to do is call a while loop, and I'm going to cycle through all of the results. So I'm going to say to WordPress, hey, I want all these results sent to me. And how you do that is you call a function called have posts, and I put a little bracket here. And I'm going to call WP query, again, the same guy over and over again, and I'm going to say that I want to get all the information from the first post that was received, that is found, that fits our stipulations. And then I can actually close off my PHP code, and then if we look over here, we'll see, first I defined this div middle column. Well, now I got to create a new one. Each one of these guys right here on the screen is in something called middle container. I'm just going to go. Now that I know I got my first post, I need to put that in there every single time to surround every single one of those guys. And then I need to copy this guy right here, jump over into WordPress. Now, because I know it's going to be an article that is returned because that's what I asked it for, I'm just going to put in this right here, article. Later on, it's going to be video instead. Then what I need to do, if you look over here on the right side of the screen, is I need to get the first image that is inside of each article, and I need to paste it on the screen. Well, how I'm going to do that, I did this in a previous tutorial on how to create WordPress themes, is I'm going to call a function called catch that image. Again, this is just copy and paste code. Well, let me just jump into functions.php and create it. Alright, so I'm in functions.php and I want to add some additional functionality, and what this basically is going to do is it's going to say what's the first image inside of the article for this post. I want it received, I want it sent back over here, and I want it displayed on my front page. You can either copy and paste this code or try to understand what I'm saying. Get that image is the name of the function, and again, you need to define global for post, which is all the information. Posts. So what we're doing here is just defining variables that are going to allow us to access information in the post. Then create another variable called first image, and we're just going to give it nothing as a value as we first create it. OB start. This just helps with some memory management, and it's a little bit beyond this actual tutorial. Now what I'm going to do is retrieve some information from the actual content of the post, and this is regular expressions. Again, this is copy and paste code for most of you guys out there. Don't have to understand it. So basically what I'm doing here, I'm going to try to explain it to the best of my ability, is I'm looking for the tag named image, and then what I want to try to receive is the source, meaning the location of that image. And I'm backslashing this individual quote because I have a quote here, so that's why I'm putting that inside of there. And then with this rounded off bracket, I'm saying that I want to grab all of the information in that source location for that image. However, I do not want to grab anything that is an individual quote or a double quote, because that's more than likely the end of the source or location for that image. And I want to grab everything the whole way down until I get to a single quote or a double quote and anything thereafter, and I want to ignore any type of capitalization. Again, if you don't understand that, it's just copy and paste code. You can just paste it in there. And post / and little bracket post content is the actual content of the article and matches. Now what we're going to do is go first image is equal to the first match. See, this guy up here is going to grab any source or any locations of images in the entire article. Now what we're going to do is we're going to say we just want the first one. And you do that by putting that code in right there. If, now we want to check to make sure it's not empty. So if no images were found, first image, we're going to define ourselves a default image if there was nothing found, if there were no images found on that post. So let's paste that in there. It's equal to log info. We're going to say look in my template directory or my theme directory, and then images / default. And I have an image called default ping. It's going to use that one if it couldn't find any additional ones. Close that off and return first image, which will now either hold the location for the first image in the post, or it will hold the default image that we're going to be using. And then we can close off this function right inside of there and get rid of any additional white space that's inside of there, because WordPress does not like white space after these brackets. And then we're going to save functions.php and jump back over into index. And now we're actually going to call that function that we just created. But let's come over here and let's copy this, save ourselves some typing. So this is the original way that we were grabbing featured images, but this is going to be all dynamic now. It's going to be really cool. How you make it dynamic is to get rid of this actually defined image. We're going to go PHP echo, which is going to print out whatever catch that image returns, which we know is going to be the location or the source for the dynamically loaded image. Right, like that, and then close off the PHP. Make this even more dynamic. Alt is going to get the title of whatever the article is to make this a little bit more search engine optimized. And if you want to do that, just type in PHP and type in the title right inside of there, and then close off the PHP code again, and we can leave everything else exactly the same. So that's going to grab these images. That's where this is coming from. Dynamically, these images are pulled in from the article themselves. That's really cool. Now let's look over here. We also have middle art title, middle art date, and horizontal rule. Let's just grab those three right now. Jump back over inside of here, because we're basically just doing the same thing. We're just using WordPress to get us access to information dynamically, like images and titles for articles. All right, so we have middle art title. And here I had everything defined as Facebook marketing. And this time we're going to have it actually be whatever it is, the name for the actual article that was created. So let's do that. So let's go into middle art title, delete that out, and we're going to make this dynamic again. And also we're going to make it a link. So let's go reference is equal to, and if we want to get the actual location for the article itself, we're going to type in PHP the permalink, and this is going to automatically kick out whatever the location is for the article. Don't forget, put the double quotes here, and then the double quotes after this. Close off that A tag, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get the actual title for the post. So again, call PHP. I'm going to define a variable. It's going to be called NTT, the title, and it's going to be equal to post, little bracket, and I'm going to call a function called post title. and then I'm going to grab a variable called post title from inside of that, and it's going to contain the title for the post. And then I'm going to call another function in PHP called substring. What it's going to do is it's going to shorten the length of the title. So in case the person using my theme goes and types in something ridiculous in regards to length, it's going to make sure that it's only 50 characters in length, and that's what I just defined there. And then close off the end of the PHP code, and then come in here. Remember, we created a link. We have to close off that link. And everything else there is perfectly fine. So now we're going to have to get middle art date. So we're going to come inside of this guy right here, delete that out, and call PHP the time, and uppercase F, J, uppercase S, uppercase Y, and this is going to return my date for me, and I don't need to do anything else with that. And then horizontal middle rule, which is just that little line across the screen, could actually stay exactly the way that it is. So let's jump over here and get the excerpt area, which is going to be just an abbreviated excerpt of the article. So paste the data in there, and then I can get rid of all of this crap right here because I don't need that, and grab the actual excerpt. Again, you're doing the same thing. Bracket, PHP. And again, I'm going to shorten it so that it's not too long and overflows and messes up everything that I'm doing here on the screen. So I'm going to create a variable called NTT, the excerpt, and it's going to be equal to the value of post. If you want to get a variable inside of here called post excerpt, right like that. So that's going to grab the excerpt for me. And then guess what I'm doing again? I'm going to call substring, and I'm going to say that I want it shrunk down. NTT, the excerpt, and I'm going to type in 0, and I'm going to type in 157. I already checked on this, so I know it works. And then I want to close off my PHP section. Well then, I want to put a little more button inside of here. I know the title is already set up to work if they want to read, but I'm going to set it up so that if they click on more, they'll go and they'll read the entire article. So how I do that is inside of reference. I'm going to call PHP again, right like that, and I'm going to call the permalink. And that's going to give me the link to the full article so that if they click on it, it takes them where they want to go. And everything else there, I leave exactly as it is. And that is going to give me everything that I need for that middle container, this guy right here. All of that code is going to automatically pull all this in dynamically. So I need to close my div for middle container, and I'm going to put a little comment inside of here that says end of middle container, right like that. Then I have to call the end while function, and what that's going to do is we jumped up here. While, there's a while statement, it's going to pull back 4 posts that are all in the category article. So while there are 4 posts, not 5, 4 in the category article, it's going to continue to pull them. That's why the end while is there. That's going to end the while statement. Well, then what I got to do is I actually have to reset my query that I created above. So WP query, just so you can see that, to the default. That's how you create comments inside of PHP, by the way. So I'm going to grab WP query right here, paste that inside of there. I'm going to nullify it. I'm going to delete everything inside of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to call temp WP query and get all the values that were stored in that temporary file and store them back into WP query. And then close off that PHP code and actually close off the div for the entire column, because all of that code right there is going to automatically create the entire column, middle column. And all of this additional code right here that was inside of the blank theme, we don't need it. So I'm just going to come down here and delete everything down the whole way to where it says get footer. And then all of the work that we just put in can be reused to make the second column. So let's just copy that, go the whole way up to where it says middle column, right there. And let's copy that, scroll back down. All right. Pasted it in there. So now pretty much what we need to do, and let me just go full screen with this, is before we were pulling in articles, now we need to pull in videos. That's all. That's the only difference between those 2 bars. So let's go fix that. So let's scroll up through here. You can say this is the end of the middle column right there. All of this is going to stay the same, except for category name is now going to be video, because we're going to be pulling in posts that are in the video category. This we're going to change to video, because that's what it is. It's not an article. And the rest of this can all stay exactly the same. So let's go down to end, middle column. And the only thing we got to do is pull in our second sidebar. And let's just save ourselves from that. So let's copy that, come down inside of here, paste inside of here. And our second sidebar is going to be called, guess what, second. We paste that inside of there. And then we have the footer section all done. And we have index.php done and header.php done. So let's file save that. And a vast majority of all the coding you're going to do for the whole website has already been completed. Tune in next time and I'll continue making this theme. Leave any questions or comments below. I'll do my best to answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, till next time.